Welcome back everyone to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's episode, we are going to discuss Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris put out a last stitch of hope to capture black men and to vote for her this election period. Also, so we'll discuss that. She did an interview with the Shade Room and she had a message for black people, okay? Not specifically black men, okay? So she is on the campaign trail to capture the vote of the black men. And I think it looks pretty desperate for her to do this because we only have 20 days until the election. And Kamala Harris is basically trying to hike her skirt up to entice more black men voters to her campaign. Anyway, we'll discuss that. Also, Tim Walz, there's been some troubling allegations against Tim Walz in his, teaching career. We know he claimed, now Tim Walz claims that he resigned from teaching because of his political aspirations. Well, what I found or what I discovered, those claims are false. He resigned because he had an inappropriate relationship with a student. Okay, this is allegations, or can we say allegations? But we'll talk more into that. Okay, so we got other things that I want to touch on the election. And so you guys stay tuned for another episode of Business Talk.
Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Ay, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Ay, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
You guys put in the chat. Let me know that you could hear me and see me. Hopefully you can hear me and see me. Also put in the chat, let me know where you're viewing from. I see we have Brian in the building. Happy Monday, all from California. Brian, I don't know if you was able to participate in that rally. They had about 100,000 people out for Trump over this past weekend. Celeste Hodge is in the building. Hello from Texas. Anger Mismanagement is tuning in from Cooksville, USA. Anthony Hood, what up, though? Anthony, I noticed you was on my morning show. I really appreciate you tuning in. You guys, if you're not tuning in to my Unpopular Opinion podcast, it's on my other channel. We go live Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we talk about trending topics and interesting discussions. It's very entertaining. So if you are online or on the drive to your work or just chilling at work and you could put your headphones on, tune in 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay, Tyrone Price. I want former President Trump as our next president. I am listening to South Carolina. This is the sentiment, my sentiment. I do want President Trump to win, and hopefully he will win. It looks like it's going to be a landslide. I know the media is showing, it's a neck and neck race. No, I don't believe it for 1 minute. Kamala Harris is doing so bad in her interviews. They called her on several lies, even though this mainstream media does not report her lies. They only talk about Trump in a negative way. I believe it's not a neck and neck competition. The polls is not being truthful. And the only reason why I'm saying it's not being truthful is because you got to be a fur brain to think Kamala Harris is actually competent enough to run the United States and have the capacity to, I wouldn't even say the capacity, to even think that she has a fighting chance against Donald Trump. That's what I want to say. Okay. Anthony Hood, yes and yes. Rob and Mari is saying the audio and video is good. Maine Thomas, good afternoon, everyone. Christine is tuning in from North Carolina. Did not go to President Trump rally. Yeah, he was in North Carolina as well. They said he had a big turnout in North Carolina. Tyrone Price says former President Trump has no Project 25 agenda. This is one of the lies that they continue to spread about Donald Trump. You guys, I posted a list of lies that the mainstream media, I guess you could call it Kamala Harris talking points against Donald Trump to make people think, oh, yeah, he's doing this. And so if you follow me on X, I genuinely post, things like that on X. Anthony Hood is saying he is commander-in-chief, never left. Biden has never been president. Exactly. South 343, good afternoon. Chief, Long Island, New York City. And South 343 is tuning in from Grovetown, Georgia. Okay, you guys, I'm not going to hold you up. I'm going to play this little clip, not the full clip, of Kamala Harris talking to Shade Room. It seemed pretty odd to me that you have the president or potential president, a person that's running to be the highest office or, just a job. This is actually a job that she's applying for. And she tends to dodge the media that will ask questions that will be informative to inform the voters now. But she tends to go to these platforms for low informed questions so she could get softball interview questions and really nice interviews. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think you have to do both. You can't just do one-sided. And I believe since she's suffering in the polls, remember last Friday we talked about Kamala Harris where she wanted to do another debate with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was like, no, I don't want to do the debate because last time I had to debate 3 people and it should have been just 1 against 1. And then they wanted to fact check me, but they failed not to fact check you. So and also Donald Trump posed 2 additional dates for debates on other platforms, and she turned it down. She only agreed to 1. That one was ABC, and we know her Soros sister was over that debate. So I think that's why it ended up kind of pushing in Kamala's favor. I don't think Donald Trump did bad, but we had so much low expectation to Kamala Harris. It made her look like the rising star, like, oh, the new kid on the block, the underdog. And look how great she did. And she did not perform great at all. I think we just had low expectations of Kamala Harris. With that being said, Donald Trump is not going to agree to another debate. And I believe he should not agree to another debate because, like I said, Kamala Harris is looking for a high moment against Donald Trump. And, they're going to twist this saying, oh, he's just doing that because misogynistic or he's racist, blah, blah, blah. And he actually held his cool with Kamala Harris. He didn't fly off the handle like he could have, because there was some rooms that he could have got her, but he kind of restrained himself. But what I'm getting at is, so Kamala Harris is going on this media campaign, and all the media campaign is stupid platforms like Shade Room. Like, have you ever heard the Shade Room interviewing a president candidate? No, they only doing that because she's Kamala Harris. And to me, it's ridiculous. Shade Room is a gossip channel, just like the other podcast she attended on. And that channel is more like they have sex with each other. It's a sex channel. And she decided to go on that channel. Not Fox News, not all these other really platforms that even a political, okay, you want to do YouTubers, go on political platforms that will ask you tough questions. either Democrat or Republicans, because there are plenty of YouTube platforms that you could go on if you want to stick with YouTube. But she refused to do that because she knows if she goes, she's trying to pander, number one, to the black community. And if she goes on these platforms that are informed, they will ask her informed questions. And Kamala Harris is not smart enough. Hello? She's not smart enough to go off the top of her head. You know, Kamala Harris is a career politician. She should be able to walk down the street, somebody fire off a question, and she should be able to tell us her stance and her plans. But she's not. She says the same old shit. Okay? And this is what I'm talking about. And only reason why I want to bring this up is because this is a totally different question that this guy posed to Kamala Harris. But no, she has the same damn answer. The same answer she gives this man on a totally different question. We never heard this question before. She get the same damn answer. And you guys, my voice is raising because I can't believe how many people are supporting Kamala Harris, and she's a damn fool. She's a fraud and a fool. At this point, I have to call her that. I was trying to be nice to her, but she's a damn fool at this point. Listen to this crap. And you guys put in the chat, I want to make sure you could hear what they are saying.
I think it's the fun part. I want to ask you about your plan for black men.
Yes.
It's something huge
Yes.
that you have just released this
Yes.
week. We're talking about 1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000
Right.
to black entrepreneurs, men and women,
Yes.
correct? Expanding access to bank accounts, expanding the child tax credit, many things that you're
Housing.
doing.
Don't forget my housing.
Lowering rent, making it affordable to buy a house for
Yes.
first-time home buyers.
Correct.
Talk to me about this
Yes.
plan, just in
Yeah.
summary, and,
Yeah.
and how this will impact not only black men, but all black people.
Sure. So look, I grew up in the middle class. My mother worked hard. She saved up. And by the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. I will never forget where I came from.
What the F, Kamala? You guys heard that. You guys put in the chat. I want to make sure you heard what Kamala said. Okay? If you didn't even hear what Kamala said, just guess. Guess what this woman said about this question. He said, I want you to discuss, you have some breaking news that what you're trying to do for black men. And he named off several things about buying homes, a down payment assistance and other things that we already know that she's planning to do. But then he asked her to expound on what other things were you planning to do for black men, and not only black men, for black people in general. Okay. This is not just for black men. Let's preface that there. It's for every individual that qualifies. Okay. It's not specifically for black men. But they want her to expound. This fool said, I grew up in the middle class. I grew up in the middle class. We know that, Kamala, because every freaking question that anyone posed to you, you talking about, I grew up in the middle class. Oh, can you tell me more of how you are persuading Prime Minister of Israel to negotiate a ceasefire? Oh, I grew up in the middle class. That's your answer to every freaking thing. What about the groceries? How are you planning to combat high inflation? I grew up in the middle class, and I grew up around people that want to take care of their lawn. And what we calling this is the opportunity economy. Like, are you freaking kidding me, you guys? And you still voting for this shit? You're going to actually bubble Kamala Harris' name in, and she gives the same damn answer for many different questions. You guys, I'm getting upset because I can't believe how people, and you know what? When I'm showing you the polls, I don't know why I'm getting upset, because people are starting to wake up, okay? People are starting to wake up to this crap. Let me just make sure you guys. The emperor, the meme came back. Bruh. Look, Malcolm, my kids call me. They be like, bruh. Like, no, I ain't your bruh. But like, bruh. The emperor, I grew up in the middle class. But no, and I want to call her the B word. Didn't I just ask you about something totally different? I grew up in the middle class. Anthony Hood sounds like someone else we know. Exactly. Yes, so you do hear it. All corrupt and okay, Christine is saying all corrupt and pedos for Kamala. What the hell? Since when can a middle class have a damn name? You know what? I'm glad you pointed that out, because back in the day, and she grew up. What I think that was the 60s. In the 60s, they didn't have no nanny. No nanny. You better go to your auntie's house, or come with me to work day. We didn't have no nannies. I remember my mom used to work at Goldman Sachs. Sometimes we would go if our school let out early, we'll catch the bus downtown. It's Goldman Sachs was located at the Sears Tower, and we'd be sitting under her desk. Because she didn't have childcare. Come on now. And she grew up middle class. So I'm just going to play it a little bit more.
Okay, by the way, my opponent, Donald Trump, was handed $400 million basically on a silver platter and filed for bankruptcy 6 times. So just keep that in mind about who's coming from where. I know the ambitions, the aspirations, the incredible work ethic that exists in our community. I know the dreams that exist, but not everyone has started out on the same base in terms of being able to realize their goals and their dreams. So my plan is to build what I call an opportunity economy, which means giving people an opportunity to actually achieve those ambitions, those goals, and those dreams. So for example, housing is too expensive. The American dream is something that previous generations could kind of count on, but no more. So one part of the problem is that we have a supply issue in terms of housing supply. My plan includes working with developers to do and home builders to create incentives for them to build 3 million new homes by the end of my first term. The second part, which is equally important, if not more, is to give people, first-time home buyers, a $25,000 down payment.
She's answering the question wrong, number one, okay? Kamala Harris doesn't even know what she planned to do for black people, okay? I don't know. I hate to listen to all this stuff. We already know this stuff, okay? This is what Kamala Harris, now, it's not from me. This is from Kamala Harris, and she can't even answer the question. I just want to go back. Maybe I didn't hear the question. Maybe I didn't hear the question.
Of being able to realize their goals and their dreams. I grew up in the middle class. All of this points to an individual who is also quite unstable.
1 million loans that are fully forgivable up to $20,000
Right.
to black entrepreneurs, men and women,
Yes.
correct? Expanding access to bank accounts, expanding the child tax credit, many things that you're
Housing.
doing.
Don't forget my housing.
Lowering rent, making it affordable to buy a house for
Yes.
first-time home buyers.
Correct.
Talk to me about this
Yes.
plan, just in
Yeah.
summary,
Yeah.
and how this will impact not only black men, but all black people.
Sure.
He said, talk to me about the plan of how it will impact Americans, not just for black men, but black people, everybody in general. Okay. Then she starts to say, I grew up in the middle class. Okay. We got a housing, not what you're planning to do. What you're planning to do, how would it impact the American people? Okay. Why didn't she answer that question? I don't know. Only thing I could think of, Kamala Harris is not that smart. Now this is her plan. She's like I said, she's trying to raise up her skirt to entice people. I guess she think all black men smoke weed. She's planning to legalize recreational marijuana and providing opportunities for black Americans to succeed in the industry. That's just fluff, you guys. You can't succeed in the industry. They tried to do that in Detroit. You just have big investors. They put so much red tape that a small business owner can't thrive. Not only black people, everybody. If you don't have enough money or capital to get into the marijuana industry, you're not going to survive. It's so many fees and regulations that you got to keep up with. Is not really worth it. Okay, so 1 million fully forgivable loans up to $20,000 for black entrepreneurs and others to start businesses. What happened to the $50,000? I guess that's in, $50,000 tax credit. I guess you're throwing that out the door, or this is just, you're saying black entrepreneurs and others. What do you mean by that? See, this is what I'm saying. Kamala Harris, this is the last stitch of hope for her to entice more black men to vote for her. And it says a plan come up with rules for cryptocurrency and other digital assets. More than 20% of black Americans own or have owned cryptocurrency assets, according to the campaign. Okay, a plan to come up with the rules of cryptocurrency. Okay, would it negatively impact crypto holders or positively impact? You just saying I'm coming up with the plan, and then you just the last debate when Trump said, "Oh, I have inkling of a plan or something of a plan." You gave him shit about that. So why would you even put that if it's not a plan? You don't have a plan. Invest more in black male teachers, promote register apprenticeship and credentialing opportunities in black communities, and investing in leadership training and mentorship program like My Brother's Keeper. Now, I wouldn't say this is a bad thing, because we do need more black men teachers. We just need more men teachers, period. But okay, what are you saying? Everybody don't want to be a teacher. What are we saying here? And then the National Health Equity Initiative focused on black men that addresses sickle cell, diabetes, mental health, prostate cancer, and other health challenges that proportionately affect them. They didn't even, who wrote this? They didn't even put periods at the end of this stuff. But okay, what does that mean? So last stitch of, I guess you throwing the lifeline now out. I'm not for sure what Kamala's doing, but it looks pretty desperate. She looks pretty desperate. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because Kamala Harris campaign, they are getting really nervous because of these last numbers that came out. These last numbers that came out on Kamala Harris, it doesn't look good for them. It doesn't look good. Let me share this tab. Now, this is MSNBC.
Just after the Trump-Harris debate.
You guys, let me know if you could hear this audio.
Our poll had Harris 5 points up over Trump. Now, that was just after, this poll was taken just after the Trump-Harris debate. Since then, there's been the VP debate. Harris has given a number of interviews. There have obviously been other campaign events, and it's shifted now to a tie in our poll. And underneath this, if there's one finding I think that stands out in particular, it's right here. A lot of numbers on the screen, but this is basically looking at the image of each candidate. Do voters have a positive or negative view of them. And this side on the left is what it is now. And they're basically the same. Both Trump and Harris, 43 positive and a high negative there, 51 for Trump, 49 for Harris. But a month ago, it was a different story. Trump's numbers were still pretty rough, but Harris actually a month ago in our poll had a higher positive, 48%, than negative 45%. She had a clear advantage in our poll a month ago on likability, on image, and that advantage in our new poll is gone for her. So I think that's significant. And then you take a look at this, too. Look, Harris remains a member of an unpopular administration. She's the vice president, and the president, 43% approval rating for Joe Biden in our new poll. It's one of the reasons Democrats kind of wanted Biden not to run was his low approval rating. And I think interestingly as well, we also asked this. We asked about Trump as president. Looking back, did you approve or disapprove of the job that Trump did as president retrospectively? 48% in our poll say they approve of how Trump did as president. What's notable is not only is that higher than Biden's current approval rating, that is a better approval rating than Trump ever got in our poll when he was president. So there's been a little bit of an improvement retrospectively.
People are starting to wake up. That's why that number is. People are starting to wake up. And they probably like, oh, Trump talked a lot of shit. It's not so bad, okay? It's not so bad what Trump was talking about. But now, in retrospective, they're saying that, hey, Donald Trump actually did good. Actually, he did way better than Biden-Harris. So, what are we saying? What are we saying here? We could basically say in a synopsis that Donald Trump is not he did a pretty good damn job with what he was given during his presidency. And we know for damn sure he did way better than Joe Biden.
In how people think about the Trump presidency. Also, just the atmosphere then for Harris, running as the vice president, the incumbent vice president. She's the third incumbent vice president to run in modern times. The other two, Gore in 2000, Bush Sr. in 88, their bosses, Bill Clinton in 2000, Ronald Reagan in 88, had pretty high approval ratings, 59, 60%. Bush won in 88.
Yeah, he won.
Gore didn't win in 2000, though he did win in the popular vote. Just a totally different atmosphere for this incumbent vice president, Kamala Harris.
So, and then basically they're saying that, hey, Bush won that following race, but these people, even though they had higher approval, this guy, I don't even remember him. Who was that? I don't remember him. Bill Clinton, vice president. But anyway, he didn't win. That's probably why I don't remember him. That's when I first started voting back then. Anyway, Kamala Harris, she only has a 43% approval rating right at this time. Kamala Harris is in some deep crap. She is in some deep crap. And she decided to go on to the Shade Room to give, I guess, an interview instead of going onto like a real platform to actually give her I guess, talking points or whatever. I think it looks kind of crazy. Let me get to some of your comments. Vicky, so I pay for my school and all. Okay, I don't know what Vicky talking about. Anthony Hood, that mask a man is playing her. She's been gone at Gitmo. Biden first, then her gone. Then she's gone. Tanya is saying, why does the black man look like he just started his transition? Yeah, he does look pretty feminine. And that's another thing that I'm starting to get pissed off about media. We've always platforming all these feminine men. Where's the real men at? We act like we don't got no real black men. They're trying to paint black men like they're, excuse my language, like they're sissies. All black men are not sissies. All black men are not feminine. Can you say sissy on YouTube? Is that hate speech? I'm not for sure. But they're not that. We're trying to actually normalize like black men are just all these feminine women walking around, and they're not. They're not like this guy that they parading around like he's the norm for black men. They're propping up these black men like this is the norm for black men. Like we like seeing this crap. And there's nothing wrong with his I guess orientation. The problem I have is that's all we see now. We don't see nothing else. I was just watching a show, I think it was whatchamacallit Shepherd, whatever her first name is, Sherry Shepherd. She had somebody named Diva on there, and Diva was a black man with a wig on and a full 5 o'clock shadow. That's not what black men represent. Anyway, you guys put it in the chat. These homes are not for Americans. They are for non-citizens. Thank you. All these 4 million reason why we have a housing crisis is because it's engineered. Number one, you let over 15 million people in unsanctioned. We could say unsanctioned illegals in here, and you are saying, "Oh, we got a housing shortage." Yeah. We have a housing shortage. There's two reasons why we have a housing shortage. Number one is because these big time developers buy up all the houses. And some of these houses are empty, by the way. And they hold the houses. Some of them are renovated. But we have a housing shortage because of that. And then another problem we have a housing shortage because it's a manufactured problem. You guys, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden allowed the borders to be open, that we have a housing shortage. And the people, they're giving them rent vouchers. Now the landlords are jacking up the rent. They're kicking out the people that's paying lower rent and giving the housing to the illegal immigrant, because the government is giving them $9,000. I heard it was $9,000 over a 6-month period to pay for housing. If you could pay $1,500 or $2,000 a month, or $1,500 a month for housing, why for 1 bedroom? Why would I want you in my apartment and you only could pay $1,000 a month? Get noticed with Nikki's is saying, by the time she finishes babbling, how are we going to know the question? Exactly. That's why I had to rewind. I had to rewind like to actually see what the hell he actually asked her. He asked her, what are basically the implications? How would this affect Black Americans by you initiating these policies? Rob is saying the fact she doesn't relate to common folks. Trump is rich, but everyone can see he relates with everyone. Yes, you could take Donald Trump to Chick-fil-A in the hood. Look, in the hood, and they relating to him. Common folks. And he's been basically rich all his life. But he's a very relatable person and people like him. What does that say about you, Miss Middle Class person? You was born in the middle class and you grew around people that care about their lawn. Who says that? Is that the first thing you think? I'm going to ask my kids, do you notice how our neighbors care about their lawn? They don't. I mean, they probably would notice if their lawn is junky or like why they got so much crap in their lawn. But they're not going to say, oh, I grew up in the middle class and my neighbors care about their lawn. That's not the first thing you say. No. Blue Gamble, Sears Tower, I did not know you were from Chicago. Sorry, caught the live late and had to rewind. Yeah, I grew up in Chicago. To a certain like middle, till I got to middle school / close to high school. Then we moved to Iowa. If she grew up in the MC, she couldn't possibly relate to those that grew up in the projects. Policies that were designed to keep them there. Exactly. Okay. She said she grew up middle class, and I guess she's referring to Oakland, but they already revealed Kamala Harris did not grow up in Oakland, California. She, after, I guess, the divorce from her father, a year or two afterwards, she moved to Canada. She did grade school and all the way through high school in Canada. And what I'm told, that she grew up, pretty upper middle class kid. She went to a private school, and, she didn't get a scholarship. So I'm pretty sure her mom had to pay for it. But, let's be real. Her mom, she had her hands in the government. She had a job, like a research job. She's a doctor, and she, I guess they hired her for her research on some type of bio engineering or whatever. But, she wasn't making pennies. She was doing studies for the government, or, as a researcher. So, she was getting a pretty good dollar amount. And they probably had grants and all that good stuff based off her research. Anyway, this is not a surprise to us how Kamala Harris has the way she answered. Is not a surprise. Now, there's been rumors that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are going through some things within their camp. I'm assuming that they're not agreeing upon whose responsibility is whose. And the reason why I'm saying that is saying, even with the whole conflict, that Kamala Harris is saying that, oh yeah, I reached out to Ron DeSantis and hasn't taken none of my phone calls. And Joe Biden, he did a press conference and they mentioned that, and he said, no, we have it all taken care of with Ron DeSantis and Floridans. We've been communicating throughout this process. And then Ron DeSantis had to come online and said, yeah, I don't know, she was calling me, but I'm busy trying to save people's lives. So Kamala Harris is trying to politicize. Now she's saying Ron DeSantis is trying to politicize this hurricane. But it seems to me that she was trying to politicize this campaign. And I think this is causing friction between the Biden's camp and Harris camp. Because, you're talking about stuff that I've already handled, and you're trying to insert yourself in problems that I'm already taking care of. So I don't know if Kamala Harris was trying to get her shining moment, like, oh, look how I'm taking care of the, people that's suffering from the Milton hurricane. And, and then she tried to blast out Ron DeSantis. Well, to tell you the truth, hurricanes don't give a damn if you're Republican or Democrat. They don't care. And I'm pretty sure people don't care. They just want aid and assistance, I'm sending all my support or prayers out to the victims of the hurricane. It looks like the aftermath, they're trying to get resources to these people that's out there in Florida. And I think North Carolina was affected, and, some other parts. But, they're trying to politicize this, and it's not a political thing. It was a natural disaster, and it's kind of sick. But I'm hearing that, they're clashing heads. So let's send our prayers out to them. Now, before I get to my next story, this is pretty interesting, you guys. Pretty interesting only because we talked about Tim Walz before, and we talked about how Tim Walz had, he lies a lot. It's so funny to me that Tim Walz is a liar, just like Kamala Harris. And these are lies that now I could see Tim Walz why he would have lied on this particular instance. Not to say I agree with the lie. I could see why he lied on this. Now the other one, like the stolen valor thing, and your wife being using IVF to get pregnant, and it was something else. I give him a slide on that one, maybe because sometimes men don't know, a lot of stuff about that kind of thing. He probably called it IVF and it was something else, but I give him slide on that. But the whole China thing, you said you was in China and you wasn't at the time of their uprising. It's like, why would you lie about something so insignificant? Like to make, or you said, oh, I was part of this type of, I served in a war. And it's like, why would you lie about that? It's just, to me, it's really ridiculous. And Kamala Harris, same with Kamala Harris. We did a story and we covered Candace Owens' podcast, and where she revealed that Kamala Harris, the picture that she has in her published book, and it was a bestseller of this woman that was not her grandmother. It's like, okay, why would you lie? Your grandmother died 4 years before you was even born. Why would you lie about something like that? So anyway, what I'm getting at is Tim Walz is being caught up in another, I guess, scandal, you want to call it. Now, the lie that he told that he left the school or stopped teaching because he had political aspirations. This is what he told everybody. He had political aspirations, and that's why he ended his teaching career. But this is not true, Timmy. This is not a true statement. It's now, this is a claim. This is all alleged. This was this story broke by Black insurrectionists. Now, if you guys remember Black insurrectionists, I shared a post with him about him. He broke another story on Kamala Harris, where Kamala Harris oh, no, I don't want to do that. Kamala Harris is, she had all her interview questions before the debate. Okay. And they told her what they were planning to ask, and she told them what they could not ask during this debate. Okay. So, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they're one and the same. But this Black insurrectionist guy, he actually broke this story. Okay. Now I'm just going to read this email to you. Let me make sure you can see it. And this email makes claims, and these are very salacious claims, you guys. Okay. This is the first contact. It was dated. Now this is an email. And Black insurrectionist, if you follow him on X, his tag is Doc something. Okay. So that's why they're calling him Doc in this email. And this was dated August the 9th. It says, "Dear Doc, thanks for the call." Let me just enlarge it. "I will lay out in detail what has happened to me. I was 14 years old when I met Tim Walz. Like many normal kids, I was very confused about many things. My emotions were that of a typical teenager's. or teenager. Tim and Gwen Walz befriended me. I was a loner. They made me feel special. Tim Walz started telling me secrets about himself. He told me I could trust him with anything. I was very shy and having difficulty. Tim and Gwen extended an invitation for me to go to a concert with them in March of 1995. When we got to the concert, it was just Tim Walz and me. The concert was the Indigo Girls, who I knew nothing about. During the concert, he started to explain to me the meaning behind the lyrics. He started explaining to me that I was gay. Okay, this is what the boy. This is a boy. What he claims. The entire time he was explaining to me that I was gay, he was rubbing my back and down in what I thought was a comforting gesture. Then the next thing I know, I remember feeling tired, overwhelmingly tired. The rest of the night, I am not comfortable telling you right now. I'm going to put it in a letter. It is difficult for me right now. Okay, so that is one of the emails. Now, this next email, he goes further to explain what happened to him. He says, here's my story, Doc. During the concert, I became extremely tired. I don't know. Now, you notice they got this black stuff up here. He just redacted, the guy's information, the email and all that stuff. He said, I don't know if it was the alcohol. I don't know if something was put in the alcohol, but I remember dancing with Tim Walz. We were slow dancing. I remember his hands being inside my pants a little. He was telling me that it was natural. He was telling me it was okay. And after the concert, Gwen was not to be found. Tim said he would take me home, but we would stop off and get something to eat. Being 14 years old, I thought it meant McDonald's. To be honest, now this was in 1995, you guys, 1995. To be honest, I thought I was having a great time. I thought it was the beginning to think that I was gay. And when we stopped to get food, it was a tavern. I never realized till I was older that it was actually a gay bar. There were only a couple of women in the entire place, but they were really not women. I don't remember how long we were there. I don't remember the drive back home at all. The next thing I remember, I was naked. I was in the home of Tim Walz. He was giving me oral sex. I remember it only took me a few seconds, maybe a minute for me to, do. I'm not going to read that word. I thought this meant I was gay. I thought this meant I was really gay. I did not understand it was just a physical reaction. I remember being upset. I thought Gwen would walk in and he told me not to worry about it. He told me Gwen would not disturb us. He kept reassuring me that everything was okay. That this was normal and that he was helping me to see if I was really gay. This is what he told this 14-year-old boy. The next morning, I woke up on their couch. Gwen was there. They made me breakfast and they acted like nothing happened at all. Tim took me home. Honestly, I thought I had feelings for him. I thought he was showing me life. I remember feeling so confused yet so free. I thought this was part of becoming a man. I remember a definitive bump like a scar on his chest, and he told me all kinds of secrets. He told me he almost deaf from his time in the military. He told me he served in the Persian Gulf War. He was lying then. When I finally got home, I did not tell my parents anything. but I thought I had feelings for Mr. Walz. He told me many secrets about himself. At least I thought they were secrets. He told me that he was bisexual. He explained that what that meant. I would continually see Mr. Walz during 1995. I spent a lot of time with him whenever I could. I can't remember the exact date, but we moved to another county in summer of 1995. My parents were becoming suspect. In September of 95, he came to see me. We were drinking. We had gone out that night. We got into an argument when I found out he had planned on taking students to another Indigo Girls concert. On that night, he left very angry. That is the night he got pulled over. I don't know why it ain't. Pulled over for drunk driving. He called me and told me what happened. He told me he was going to be fired from his football job at this time. I was in a different school district. This is when I started to learn that I was not gay. This is when I began to know I like girls. We did not talk very often in 1996, but my parents called the school board and had made a complaint. I would never admit to my parents what happened, but they told the school board they had suspicion of a relationship between myself and Mr. Walz. We probably had 10 to 12 sexual encounters. Now I have to stop, Doc. I understand you need more details. I give them. This is enough for now. Take care. Okay, so that was a doozy. You have Tim Walz acting as a football coach. I believe he was a football coach at the time. And then he is taking a young boy, a 14-year-old, to Indigo Girls concert. I got to look them up. I don't know what kind of music they play, but he took them to a concert and, Indigo Girls, Nebraska, 1995. He took them to this concert, and then they're saying that he began to do sexual things towards him, like give him oral sex. And Tim Walz claims that it was just to test to see if he was really gay. Well, since he's older now, he knows the normal. If somebody's sucking on your thing, it don't matter if it's a man or a woman. You're probably gonna have that initial normal reaction is to relieve yourself. But he didn't know that at the time. He didn't know that. Oh, he was doing the do with a man. So you got to be gay, especially if this is your first encounter, right? And so basically he's claiming that Tim Walz basically groomed him, okay? And he's claiming that his parents actually called the school board and told them of their suspicion. Now, if you're a grown man, Tim Walz had to be about 30 years old, picking up my 14-year-old boy. Why would they allow him to? What was your excuse? Number one, why would you allow him to go with your teacher and he has a father? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, but this is a cultural thing because black folks wouldn't do this. The black folks totally wouldn't do this. No, he got a daddy. Why you all interested in my son? Okay, number one. Number two, of course I'll be suspicious. Like, you coming up, you don't have no friends, Tim Walz. You can't find nobody else to go hang out with. We don't know. Number three, That was number 2. Number 3, don't you guys find it okay? Is Gwen Walz, is she in with the shenanigans? So she knows Tim Walz is bisexual per se, and she finds him victims or agree to him so he won't go out and just cheat with random people. Is she in with the shenanigans? We don't know. This is all speculation, okay? All speculations. So he goes to say this is another encounter. Well, this is not another encounter. This is about the school board meeting minutes. And this saying it's a motion was made. Now, this is the highlighted portion. Let me make sure you guys can see it. Yeah, you can. A motion was made by Aldinger and a second by Moore to accept the resignation of Tim Walz, Gwen Walz, and Byron Green. Tim Walz, Gwen Walz, and Byron Green. Now, I was believing, I was like, okay, this is just a rumor story. But now that I read this resignation motion, why would Gwen be included in this resignation? If he was resigning, okay, he got drunk, but they wouldn't fire the wife. They wouldn't be that egregious. Okay, you got drunk, we gonna fire you. But Tim Walz claims that he got fired because he got that DUI. They forced his resignation, or he claimed. You guys, I can't remember. Did he claim that he got fired? No, he didn't even claim. He said he resigned because of his political career. No, he resigned. They made him resign. Because why would your wife resign as well? And she was, like I said, she was with the mess. Gwen Walz was with the mess. Byron Green probably has nothing to do with the story, but he's attached to this resignation. This is the minutes of Board of Education, July the 1st of 1996. Okay? We could go back and verify these people to see if they were on the board. It's probably in some type of microfiche library to see who was elected as the board members, because these are elected officials, and others present, okay? But they're saying Tim Walz resigned, Gwen Walz also resigned. Now, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I've been married for quite some time. If both of us working, both of us can't quit. I'm sorry. We both can't quit. Like only one of us. So who's it going to be? It ain't going to be both of us. But both of them quit. And I could only speculate both of them quit because both of them was forced out. Okay. One could only speculate. You guys put in the chat. Let me know if I'm going in the wrong direction. This is some juicy stuff. Breaking news. This is some juice. Okay, let me see. I just want to get to Samuel Matthews is saying, didn't he also lose his assistant job, coach job for the DUI? That this is what I'm saying. I think See, on his email, he claims, now this is the young boy, he claims after the concert, he received this DUI. That's what the boy is claiming. He wasn't with him, but let me just go back to that email. He said, yeah, he got a DUI next day. And he told the boy, yeah, I'm going to get fired from my assistant coaching job. And I'm not for sure. Okay, let me go back to this. It says, my parents were becoming suspect. In September of 1995, he came to see me. We were drinking. We had gone out that night. We got into an argument. When I found out he planned on taking students to another Indigo Girls concert, on that night, he left very angry. That is the night he got pulled over for drunk driving. He called me and told me what happened. He told me he was going to be fired from his football job. At this time, I was in a different school district, okay? When did Tim Walz get the DUI? Drunk driving in 1995. September the 23rd, 1995. You guys put in the chat, would you get fired from your job if you got a DUI? I'm not for sure. I don't know. Can they actually fire you? Usually, maybe back in the day they would have, but now, would they fire you? I'm not for sure. They probably have to give you some type of medical treatment before they fire you. I just want to go back to see something. Oh, he said in September of 1995, he came to see me. We were drinking. But he, like I said, it could be made up. We don't know. This could be made up. But only reason why I think it's not made up is because this resignation. Why include your wife? Your wife was implicated, or she was so embarrassed she decided to resign as well. And it says professional leave requests. This was March of 1996. Let me go back to, this was July of 1996. So this, he said, I want to make a professional leave request in March of 1996. Okay. Just a leave. But in July of 1996, these dates are important. They came back and said, okay, you and your wife need to resign, or you need to resign, and your wife probably resigned because of embarrassment. You guys put in the chat, let me know what you think. Don't know. Now, this is a statement that he wrote, Doc. I have decided to make public statements regarding this relationship between myself and Tim Walz. I also want to make it very clear that I was not only a victim of Tim Walz. I was not the only victim of Tim Walz. I'm hoping that others will come forward. I know of at least one person who has came forward and has not received the publicity that I'm now receiving. I want to give you some of the places that I went with Tim Walz over the course of the time I was abused, and give you some descriptive information of Tim Walz's body that may be helpful in my claims. I went to 2 concerts with Tim Walz: an Indigo Girls concert in July of 1995. I attended the country concert in Omaha with Tim Walz. He put parentheses Alabama. Okay. I'm assuming he thinks that's what the group was called. I was one of the students who accompanies Tim Walz and other on his trip to China. Well, we know he went to China. When Tim Walz received the DUI, it was after an evening spent with me. That's what he's claiming. He claimed that in the other letter. I fully expect that Tim Walz is going to retaliate against me and possibly my family. He has become a powerful individual, and I can tell you from experience that Tim Walz is an extremely angry individual when he is challenged on any subject or he is perceived to lose control of anything. Well, we know that. We saw that. I showed you a video when he snatched his mentally challenged son because he was going the wrong way on the stage. This was when he was on the DNC stage. Okay. So we kind of know that from his attitude or the emotions he displayed because his son was walking the wrong way. It was pretty odd. I know of at least 2 other students in the time Tim Walz spent at Nebraska that were taken to concerts and other events. In fact, Gwen Walz had made statements that she attended the Indigo concert with myself and Tim. That was not true. It is my belief to this day that Gwen Walz was with another student at the time at the same concert. But I can assure you she was not at the concert with me and Tim Walz. With that being said, Tim Walz has raised a raised scar on his chest. He recalled a Chinese symbol tattoo on his upper thigh. I recall a Chinese tattoo on his upper thigh. I remember he explained to me what it meant, but I do not recall at this time. I also remember a small scar on his left arm that was more like a soft burn, of course. Most people know he has a hearing problem. It is my understanding that has been corrected. I will be engaging an attorney and will be bringing Mr. Walz to court of law if possible. I will be seeking full legal remedies against Tim Walz. My relationship with Tim Walz stopped being physical in 1996, but we remained in contact until 1995 or 1999. I have decided that I will be contacting media members through my attorneys and will give a public coming forward and challenge Tim Walz if that is the route that my attorney would like to go. Many people will attack my claims. Many will doubt my claims. Tim Walz and I know the truth. Between the ages of 14 and 18 of age, Tim Walz was a part of my life. It was a relationship that was unhealthy and it affected my life in some of the worst ways possible. So Tim Walz was a groomer, and it sounds like his wife was a groomer too. That explains why he spent so much time in China. I believe the SA allegations didn't come out until July out until in July of 1996. And that's probably why July of 1996, that's probably why Gwen actually quit, because she probably was embarrassed or she was part of it. Celeste, I agree with you. She's real creepy too. So she's probably with the shenanigans. Samuel Matthews saying Tampon 10 is very weird. So you guys put in the chat. You know, do you think this is some... I thought it was like, oh, it may be just speculations, but when I read the, you know, approved resignations of him, not only him, but his wife, then I have to say it's some truth behind that. Now, when did Tim Walz decide to run for public office? I think he was the House of Representative in Minnesota, right? But they say he's been in politics for about 12 years. So 2005. What did he do between the time of resignation 96 to 2005? We know he was in the National Reserve for 25 years. But what was he doing in between the time? Or did he just based their money? Now Gwen doesn't have a checker pass, so she could find another job, but not him. Not him. Oh, 2006. 2006, that's when he won his first term of in the House of Representatives, and in 2018, that's when he was elected governor. This is going to be interesting, you guys. This will be interesting. If Tim Walz, if they actually come out in the news before this, the election is over, we could pretty much say, I don't think Kamala has a chance in hell without this information being known, but we could just say there's no chance in hell that she will be elected. Because, you know, it's not like this is like, oh, this is Republicans. They're trying to come out whatever, you know, out the hat and trying to say he did this stuff. No, we catch you lie after lie. And when it's revealed that actually Gwen, okay, you resigned, but why did Gwen resign? Why did she resign? I really like to know. I really want to know, why did Gwen put in her resignation at the same time you did? You guys didn't move, or did you decide to move because of Tim? He can't keep it in his pants. He likes little boys. I just don't know. So, you know, the DUI wasn't the reason where he got fired. It's fired because he had inappropriate relationships with little children. Teenage children. Anthony is saying Tim is an alien. Keratin, it says Tim is sick. Dewana is saying the Democratic Party has an entire platform for the LGBT. No surprise that these political figures are part of this. People need to consider what they really stand for. Yes. You're absolutely right. Graffiti, wait. He was able to stay in the military with those allegations against him. I don't think it ever came out. I think they said, hey, we're going to force you to resign. And if you don't, we're going to, I guess, take further action. Because when he got the DUI, that was back in March, or he went to court in March. He went for personal leave. Okay? But in July, for some reason, let me just pull up this article. I'm just reading it. It's saying, it's saying the defense attorney acknowledged that Walz has been drinking, but argued for a fine, saying his blood alcohol levels was relatively low. He also noted that Walz was a teacher at the local high school. He felt terrible about this and was real disappointed, I guess, in himself. He also said Walz reported the incident to his principal, resigned from his coaching position, and offered to quit his teaching job because he felt so bad. He said the principal talked to him into staying on as a teacher, and that Walz was now telling students about what happened if one gets caught drinking and driving. Walz lost his license plates for 90 days and was fined $200. Walz said he quit drinking alcohol after the arrest. He now prefers Diet Mountain Dew. This is what it's saying. So he didn't quit his teacher job, but for some reason in July of 1996, he quit. But in this letter I shared with you guys, is saying his parents raised questions with the school board or notified the school board in 1996. That's what this letter says. Okay. Now, and this is, we can only imagine, if this is true. This is some crazy stuff. Like I said, this is only allegations. This is only allegedly. We can't make sure these claims. But I just wanted to shed light. Justin Thompson, September of 95 was the DUI. Yes. And the young boy is saying, or he's not young anymore, but the guy at the time was a young boy. He said he was coming from his house and they was drinking. Okay. He came from his house after he dropped them off, and he said they was drinking that night. And that's the same night he got a DUI. Graffiti said, Diet Dew, that mess is far worse than hard liquor. I'm just saying, yeah. This story is just sad. Yeah, I think it's a sad story. I think it's pretty sick. And like I said, what we only time would tell. I would actually keep my eyes out to see if we have any news in regards to Tim Walz. Right now, X. I don't sleep on X. They usually come with the news first, and then you eventually will see it. They'll start talking about it in actually mainstream media. And the guy that posted this, Black Insurrectionist, he actually broke the news about Kamala being fed questions before the debate. So I believe this post, and I believe this victim, and it's certain things that you could corroborate to see if like there was an Indigo Girls concert in 1995 in Nebraska. But you'll have to, I guess, get to some old articles to make sure, to see if these rumors are true. Okay, so that's it for our business talks this today. Tomorrow we're going to get into some more political things. I am working on the story, and hopefully I have all the information tomorrow. If not, probably later on this week to talk about. So you guys stay tuned. I really appreciate every single last one of you for tuning in. And you guys have a great evening. I'm sending all my good to you. I will talk to you tomorrow.